Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your host, Naima B. Robert, and I'd like to thank you so much for joining me for this last episode of A Sister's Ramadan. So far, we have tackled some of the biggest issues that sisters have faced during Ramadan, some of the biggest obstacles, some of the things that have stood in the way of them achieving their spiritual goals during this blessed month. And today's episode is no different. This episode is a response to a message that came through more than once during our research, and it is this: I feel so isolated and lonely in Ramadan. What can I do? Now, if this resonates with you, or if you know any sister that this resonates with, please do take a moment to share this video with her, because in this episode, I'm hoping to share some inspiration, some motivation, and some genuinely practical advice for how to combat loneliness and isolation during Ramadan. Let's do this. Now, while for many of us, Ramadan is a joyous time of togetherness with family and friends, community connection and spiritual rejuvenation, life still happens. And that means that there are potentially many sisters dealing with very difficult circumstances during the month of Ramadan. So whether that is a revert sister who doesn't have family or friends to open the fast with, or a sister who's observing her iddah after a painful divorce, or a mother who has just lost her child, or simply a sister facing ill health, financial problems, or mental health challenges, we know that there are sisters out there who are battling with extremely difficult life circumstances. So I'd like to offer every single one of you who's out there listening to this some advice, inshallah, that will hopefully make your load a little lighter. The advice is in two parts, as always. There is the reframe, and then there is the practical. In this episode, my reframe comes in two parts, so get ready. The first piece of reframing advice is this: remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. We can forget sometimes that Allah knows us intimately and knows what we're going through and our circumstances and the challenges we've faced, that we're facing, and that we're going to face. Trust in Him. Trust in His process and in your ability, inshallah, to get through whatever was written for you. Because if it was written for you, there is no doubt you have the capacity to get through. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's promise in the Quran that He would not burden a soul more than it can bear. Allow that to give you confidence. Then the second piece of reframing advice is this: remember that Ramadan is still a blessed month, a month of barakah. And you're not cut off from that or exempt from that. You can still access that barakah in any way that you need to. And this is what I want to talk to you about when we come to the practical side of the advice. Number one, decide what you want Ramadan to mean for you. What do you need from it? Do you need time with your Lord? Do you need to ground yourself? Do you need to heal? Do you need to forgive? Do you need to connect? What is it that you need from this Ramadan in this particular season of your life? Sis, make a decision to make Ramadan mean whatever you need it to. Just because other people are living Ramadan in a particular way that makes sense for their circumstances should not mean anything to you. Number two, focus on cultivating your personal relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have the ability now to focus. You have the space and the time mentally and possibly practically to make sincere dua, to make dhikr, to speak to your Lord, to pour your heart out to Him. Make that a focal point of your Ramadan, especially in light of whatever difficult circumstances you may be facing. No matter how alone you may feel, know that Allah is always aware. Number three, set yourself a challenge of some sort. It could be a spiritual challenge, a practical one, a physical or emotional one. I don't mind. But make it something that excites you, that motivates you, and that will keep you focused and disciplined. Whether it is to read a certain amount of Quran in this month, or an act every day, or reaching out, or staying away, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you need, set yourself a challenge that will motivate you so that you have a direction in this Ramadan and you're not just floating through the days while dealing with whatever it is you may be dealing with. Find a mission, give yourself a purpose, make a plan, and focus on making that happen above and beyond your challenging circumstances. Inshallah, it will give you the impetus that you need to move forward in spite of your challenges. Now, number 4 may sound counterintuitive, but it's this. If you feel isolated, alone, not connected to the community, make the most of your alone time. We tend to complain when we feel alone and isolated and that we don't have a lot of people around us, but I want to remind you that even in that state, you are blessed. And there are many, many sisters around the world who would do anything for a day on their own, a period of uninterrupted time, a night of uninterrupted sleep, or a week of being in charge of their own schedule. So if this is you, make the most of that time. We tend to see alone time as oppressive. Don't do that. If you allow yourself to see this as an opportunity to connect with Allah, you've liberated yourself. If you have alone time, ask yourself, where is the barakah here? Where is the benefit? How can I take advantage of the position that I am in today? Now, tip number 5 may seem to go against tip number 4, but it doesn't, trust me. It is to make the effort to connect. Sometimes we spend a lot of time hoping that others will reach out to us, that others will invite us, that they will bring us into their group. And when it doesn't work out that way, we feel bad about it. So sometimes you need to step out of your comfort zone and make the first move. If you want the company of the people, if you want that connection, make intention and go to the masjid for Jummah. Go to the community iftar. Go to the charity fundraiser, whatever it is, make an effort to connect with people, both in real life and online. Because this is a way for you to start to make connections with people who could end up being friends for life. You just never know. Until you make the first move, you will not know what's possible for you. Tip number 6 is connected to this. Start serving. I think it's an important hack that a lot of us miss. Start serving, volunteering, becoming useful. Whether it's in your family or in your local community or even online in the international community, make yourself useful. Not only will it connect you with other human beings and connect you with a greater purpose, it will also help ease that sense of isolation and loneliness, inshallah. And of course, you are putting effort into something that is full of barakah, so you're getting rewarded at the same time. Number 7, may not work for the introverts out there, but any extroverts watching this is for you. Host and invite others. Like I said, we often expect to be the ones receiving invitations, being pulled into other people's circles. And I say, forget that. Don't put those expectations on other people. You want to see people, invite them over. You want to host, invite them round. Make it a potluck so everybody brings a dish. Join with other sisters who are in similar situations. Maybe all of you are reverts, or you're all single moms, or your husbands are all traveling. Come together, sisters. Cook together. Host. Invite. Bring that socialization that you're craving into your space. And inshallah, it will multiply and others will get the hint, and hopefully you won't end up doing all the hosting because, again, that wouldn't be ideal. But even if you invite more than you accept invitations, own that too. It's a gift from Allah if He has chosen you to play that role, if He's given you that capacity. Celebrate it and give resentment and frustration the cold shoulder. We don't need any of it. Number 8 is a bit more serious. And it is if you are struggling with a life challenge right now, whether it is loss, grief, or anything else, get professional help if you need it. Don't try to go it alone or try to tough it out because it's Ramadan. Speak to a trusted friend or relative. Get advice from an elder or a person of knowledge, and get professional help if you need it. There are so many services available now, both live and online. If you are struggling, you do not have to struggle alone. Just be honest with yourself, and if you're not coping, get the help you need. Number 9, give yourself some grace. Again, it is our expectations of ourselves that very often lead to our frustration. If you're hurting, acknowledge that you're hurting. If your heart is broken, acknowledge it. If emotionally or mentally you are just not there, acknowledge it and be gentle with yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your circumstance and He will not burden you more than you can bear. And He's not going to expect more from you than He knows you are capable of giving. And this is part of the wonder of having a Lord who is all-knowing, who is kind and aware and loving. You don't have to be the one who's hard on yourself and make yourself feel worse. Tip number 10, and this is the last tip, and it's a bit left of field, but it's a good one. And it is this: make plans for Eid. Again, you get to decide what your Eid looks like. Whether it's a community party, a walk in the park, a bike ride, or a dinner, or a fancy restaurant, or a party at your house, make plans. Do not allow Eid to come and you haven't even given it any thought about what you're going to be doing or who you are going to see or spend the day with. Failure to plan is what? Is planning to fail. So I want for you what I want for myself, and that is a barakah-filled Ramadan and a joyous Eid. So give it some thought, sis. Make those plans and take charge of your experience, inshallah. Did these tips make sense to you? Did you find any of them useful? If so, please do share this video with others. And action. That's what I'd like to see. Take action on what you've learned. It has been a privilege to share with you these practical tips as well as inspiration to help you through the challenges that we face as Muslim women. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless every single one of you this year, next year, and every day of your lives with the ability to get through these challenges and come through the other side stronger, more grounded, and an even better slave of Allah, bi-idhnillah. From myself, the whole team at Sisters Ramadan and Eman Channel, we would like to say Taqabbal Allah minna wa minkum. It's time for Eid, so we will see you all next year, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.